Rook endgames, also known as the Gobi Desert of chess, the place where the kings of Russia, as a punishment to those who were too bad for Siberia, they would send them into rook endgames. That's how horrible rook endgames are, especially if you're defending a pawn down. For this, I have this lovely little book called The Survival Guide to Rook Endings by John Ames, and that's because that's what rook endgames feel like. You're in the desert and you want to survive. So let's look at this position here, and in this position black is already lost. There's no chance of surviving this, because if you move to the other side of the board you get checkmated. Very unpleasant. If you just stay on this, on your first rank, then white has this maneuver. Starts with a check, and then you go here, goes to h7 and threatens checkmate. Come back, check. Only one choice, check, and of course white is winning. So this was passive defense against a C or F pawn, a bishop pawn, and it ends badly. If it's a G or a B pawn, a knight's pawn, then it's easier to defend. You can defend passively, and you can see it in this book or many other rook endgame books, how to do it. So now let's look back at the board. Said this position is lost. Now let's take the pawn and the king one step backwards, and now if it's black's turn, it's actually a draw. And the solution to how to draw it in the easiest way was found by Philidor. We talked about Philidor when we were in the opera, and it was promised to you, so here it is. The Philidor idea is to take the rook and move it from the first rank to the third rank and cut the king's ability to get closer. Sorry, this king is here. So for example, if you start giving checks, black king just goes up and down. So f8, f7, no progress there. The king cannot move forward. So whatever white does, you just leave your rook here and wait. So let's do it. Let's just make a few moves. And all that white was doing so far is just bluffing, and you don't care about this. You just keep your king here, king in front of the pawn, and rook on the third rank, and that's it. And as you do that, you can imagine, you can pretend to be half asleep, like this guy here, who's an expert on rook endgames, by the way. So you pretend to sleep until this thing that wakes you up. And what it is the pawn moves. When you see the pawn moving, that's becoming dangerous, because the next will be the king coming here, and we have already seen that's very bad. So when the pawn moves forward, this is your cue as the defending side to move your rook to the very end of the board, and you're gonna give checks from here, from behind the king. So the king tries to move forward and supports the rook for checkmate, and you just give check and check, and you can go back to sleep. Check, check, and if he goes too far, you just take the pawn, and that's it. Otherwise, you're just gonna give perpetual checks, and that's it. You draw it. And that's Philidor's idea. See you in the opera.